Is it possible to learn to hunt an animal you've never hunted before on an over-the-counter tag, with a bow, at the end of the season, all by yourself? Well, the odds aren't good, that's for sure. But when has that ever stopped a bow hunter? This year, I wanted to try turkey hunting for the first time. Unfortunately, I didn't make that decision until after the Arizona draw, and the over-the-counter dates, a whopping 13 days at the tail end of breeding season, overlapped with a significant busy season at work. All that to say, I had no time to scout, didn't put in as much research as I normally would, and had only 3 days to hunt these birds. Everything about it felt rushed, but I was excited to get in the woods, figure it out, and see what happens.
I'm finally up here in the pines after work thing, after family thing. I just could not get away. So here I am with 3.5 days left in turkey season to see if I can do this. Now, I have never once hunted turkeys in my life. I'm hunting them with a bow. I have put a turkey call in my mouth for the first time like a month ago. So this is going to be the steepest learning curve probably of any hunt short of my first hunt ever with my father-in-law. To make things more complicated, there is extreme fire danger in this area, and they're actually shutting down the road I plan to use in a day and a half. So right now, I just got up here, I settled into the cabin, I ate a quick lunch, and now I'm driving out to where I've had cameras sitting for almost 2 months now that I put out with my boys a little while ago, just to see if anything is on them. Plus, I need to get them out of the woods before they shut down the woods for fire danger. I'll call it a success today if I can spot some turkeys, maybe even track them to where they roost, and then get back there in the pre-dawn hours tomorrow morning and make a play on something. But for now, it's time to just get in the woods. It's about 4:15. Got another couple hours of sunlight. I'm about 1.5 miles in, just sitting in a tank that I've sat before, elk hunting. And here's my theory. It is super dry here. Like I said, they're shutting parts of this forest down in a couple days for fire danger. So everything's dry. The feed is not as wet as it should be. So my thought is these birds are gonna have to come to water. Maybe. There's a bunch of tracks around this tank, so it's either one of the just gigantic crows that live back in here, or it's turkey. I'm hoping for turkey. So since it's the afternoon of the first day and I need to be walking out of here in a couple hours, I figured I'd sit this tank, see what happens. I got nothing to lose at this point, and then tomorrow we'll have a full day to make a go at it. This wind, this sucks.
The end of day one, and no turkeys. Which, by the way, I feel I should clarify, I don't in fact love New York. Giant overpopulated cities with really strict gun laws generally freak me out.
But my wife loves New York and went there with her mom and saw Jimmy Fallon and actually spoke to the man, which I believe means that that is now higher on her list of days ever than our wedding day. But that's beside the point. Today I checked the cams that have been sitting for 2 months. There are no turkeys on them at all. There was not a single gobble in the woods. I sat a tank for a couple hours and nothing appeared in the turkey family. Plenty of elk. There are elk all over those woods. It's beautiful and marvelous and they're wonderful and I love elk. I just can't shoot them right now. So tomorrow, gonna wake up early, head out further into the woods, see if I can hear some gobbles, see a bird, if I need to get on them before I can then start trying to call them or set up an ambush and set up decoys and all that stuff.
All right, well, it is 8:45 in the morning, and I'm just finally to the spot I want to be, but it's not totally because I'm lazy. It's because Steve Ranella told me I could sleep in. Not directly and not in so many words, but I was reading his book last night, trying to plan for the morning, and he said something to the effect of, unless you have roosted them the night before and you know exactly where they are, there's not a whole lot you can do in the pre-dawn hours to track them down and draw them in. And since I was tired and always sleep like crap the first night of the elevation, I thought, thanks, Steve, I'm not going to wake up. So took my time getting ready this morning, finally got back out here. I'm a few hundred yards from the blind where I shot my elk in September because there were turkeys running around pretty regularly in the fall. Now, I have heard, and so far it's proving true, that where turkeys are in the fall is not necessarily where they will be in the spring. But it was the most logical place I could try at this point. And if nothing shows up in the next couple hours, we'll move on and explore the rest of the woods. But I've got my decoys set up out there. Actually, I can see they are spinning in the wind. I don't know if that helps or hurts. Might have to deal with that. But just 20 yards out, and I'm nestled up in this little cluster of trees. And gonna start calling, see if anything wants to come in. There's nothing out here. I've been calling about every 10 minutes for the last hour and change. No gobbles, no sights of anything, nothing. Just been staring at my decoys, sitting halfway in the shade, talking to the Sudmain Raisins girls. She's actually super pissed that there was never an 80s claymation version of her. Those stupid raisins got all the glory. Anyway, I'm going to pack up all this stuff, and I have a loop in mind to kind of check some water and just circle this area. If I don't find any turkeys in here today, find some different woods tomorrow. But still got some morning hours, so I might go about a mile, find another good spot, set up for a bit, call and wait, and then just keep on moving. Well, I made it to the next spot I wanted to get to. It's this huge clearing with a giant tank at the end of it, where 2 years ago, during elk season, I was sitting in this water one evening and saw, I think, 2 different flocks of turkeys just meander through the grass. Again, the theme of this hunt is that fall turkey range is not the same as spring turkey range, but I hadn't been over this far west and figured it was worth a shot. The sad thing is this tank, which is one of the bigger ones in the area and I figured would be reliable, is totally dried up. So if they're looking for water, they're not coming here. So I'm just going to sit here in the shade for a minute, take a load off, maybe get a snack, pick some dandelions if I feel like it, and look at my map and figure out what to do next. All right, here's the plan. I've been sitting here clucking on this thing and nobody cares. While I was sitting here in the shade, nice and comfortable, I did a little research trying to think, okay, clearly the turkeys have moved on.
Where would they have moved to? How far is their range? All those questions. Questions I should have tried to find answers for weeks ago. Seems like the most likely answer is that as the snow melts and the spring breeding season hits, they move higher in elevation, at least according to what I found. Which means this big, flat, semi-flat, quiet area I've been in is a waste of time. They're not here. Where they probably are is up a big friggin' mountain several miles to my south. And it's the same mountain that they're closing down tomorrow morning for fire danger. So it is 6 minutes till noon right now, which means I have about 6.5 hours of decent hunting light. And as much as I really don't want to physically, I am going to book it back to my Jeep, maybe shed some gear. I don't think I'm going to mess with the decoys because I just don't have the time. And I'm going to run up that mountain and see if I can at least hear or see or find turkeys. If so, I have this evening to get a shot on one, because even if I find them and roost them, I can't go back there tomorrow because they're shutting it down. So, going for broke, because if nothing happens tonight, I have to find some totally different plan. This is gonna suck. All right, well, I got some more water, a snack, a cup of coffee. I think, if I'm honest, I dozed off for about 7 minutes, but I'm back, ready to go. Anyway, it looks very steep from down here, so we'll see what happens when I get in there. But just gonna call every couple hundred feet I climb and see if a turkey will finally answer me back. All right, I'm pumped. Gonna just blaze up this mountain, see if we can finally find some freaking fowl. I apologize for that, but these birds make me want to say F words. And if anyone's keeping track, my mental playlist for the day has been the Teddy Bear Picnic song from childhood. And then somewhere along the line, it changed into Sir Mix-a-Lot's quintessential hit, I Like Big Butts. I don't know how those two go together, but it's what I've been singing to myself. I miss my wife.
I hadn't hiked far up the mountain when I found a nice little clearing to set up on. I just set the hen out there at about 20 yards and then started some light clucking. I had only done 2 or 3 sets of calls when I caught a turkey coming in out of the corner of my eye. Unfortunately, I spooked him on his way into the decoy, and he was not going to be called back after that. I packed up my stuff, bounced around the mountain from spot to spot for the rest of the evening, and then went home to lick my wounds.
So this afternoon, finally made some progress in the form of 1 turkey, which is more than I've seen in the last day and a half, so I'll take it. I noticed him as he stopped to kind of raise his head and look at the decoy. I held very still like you're supposed to do, and then he decided to come in and check on the decoy, and he went behind one giant tree, and I tried to do 17 different things while he was behind that tree, which was way too much. My bow was on the ground in front of me, so I grabbed the bow and reached over and tried to turn on 2 cameras and a microphone. And by the time I finished that and looked up, he was on his way back out of the woods. So, in hindsight, there was that one big tree and then a little gap, and then he was going to come to another cluster of big trees. Should have grabbed the bow on the first tree, held totally still, let him cross to the next patch of trees, and then worried about the cameras. Live and learn. But here's the victory. Well, 2 victories. Calling works enough to get a bird interested and to come on in, so that's something. And actually found where at least 1 bird was hanging out. So I'm planning on going to a different mountain, which is that direction, out of the forest closure zone, still in my unit. I'm assuming that my hypothesis was correct and that the turkeys went to higher elevation for the spring, because that's what the internet said. And when has the internet ever lied to us? So I'm going to get up early, drive out there, find a spot. I've never hiked up that mountain, no idea what I'm going to find, but gonna head up there and try to do much of the same thing I did today and see if I can get something going. Other than that, I am sore as crap because I walked a lot of miles today and I'm old. So I'm gonna take another Tylenol and lay down and go to sleep. We will see what happens in the morning. I also realized today that the barrel of my sidearm is super dirty. I wear it in a holster on the belt of my pack, so every time I set it down, that open end of the holster lets dirt get up in there, and that's a problem. So, the other problem is I was not smart enough to bring a simple cleaning kit with me, which I should bring all the time everywhere, but I didn't. So right now we're going to MacGyver a way to clean the dirt out of the end of the barrel in case I need it. There's mountain lions and stuff running around.
It's definitely old, but officially found a turkey track here up on the side of this mountain. Just gonna set up in a clearing right over there, set up the decoys, sit and call for an hour. If nothing happens, we'll maybe move on up higher than the mountain. Here's a little tip or a bit of information in case this has never happened to you. When a hawk flies right over the tree that you're sitting under and lands 5 feet in front of you, it sounds like the world is coming to an end. It's embarrassing how much it will scare you and how long it takes you to get your breath back. But just so you know, it sounds like someone's landing a small aircraft right in front of you. And while your brain figures out what's going on, it's a bit of a Code Brown situation. All right, here's what happened. I was heading to this big clearing I saw on the map just over this ridge. And as I crested it, I spooked 2 birds that headed down this direction. So I booked it back down here and came into this little draw where they're heading back over the other side. I tried to set up as fast as I could, get the decoys in place, and see if I could call them back in. So far, it has not worked, but it's only been about 5 minutes, so I'll keep calling. It's a good spot to sit, so whether those birds come in or not, I might just hang here for the next hour or so. Keep calling and seeing if I can draw a bird into this bowl from any direction. It's promising though. 2 birds, well, I've only seen 1 so far, and I'm bad at math, so that's 3 birds. Well, those birds never came back, and no new birds came in. So it's after 11 now. It's getting hot. I'm getting hungry and tired. What I think I'm going to do is go up to where I saw those birds and just see if I can follow where they went. I'm under no delusion that I'm going to catch up to them or find them or even be able to officially track them. But this is officially day 3 of my turkey hunting career. So I'm just trying to learn something about these birds and see if I can find something about where they're heading, where they might be hanging out, so I can come back and maybe get this done.
I did hike around for a while, but didn't encounter a ton of turkey sign or a logical place for them to be hanging out. I went back to grab some food and a little rest, but I had marked a spot to come back for the evening hunt. On my way back in that afternoon, I came across the freshest turkey track and scat I had seen all week, so I immediately changed plans and chose a clearing nearby to sit for my last evening. I threw every kind of call I had learned at those turkeys, and nothing responded or came in. I was even a few hundred yards from what looked like a mountain lion den, and thought that could at least make the evening interesting since I had that tag in my pocket as well, but the only thing moving in the woods that afternoon was me. And a really jumpy antelope. I hiked out for the last time, assessing the last 3 days. I had gone from no indication of where to even find these things to 2 encounters with 3 birds. That's far from an action-packed turkey hunt, but at least I figured out where they were. I had never called a turkey in my life, and was able to get 1 well-hunted thunder chicken to at least come check things out. I had also explored some areas around my favorite hunting grounds that I had never been in, and feel like I have a few more viable spots in the back of my mind for future hunts. Just because I didn't bag a turkey doesn't mean the trip was a waste. I learned a ton. More than any of that, I had 3 days in the woods with almost 0 human contact. It may sound kind of curmudgeon-y, but every now and then people just need a few days of solitude to reset and get refreshed to go back to normal life. So, if you're on the fence or feel overwhelmed at the prospect of hunting something for the first time, just get out there and try it. Whether you fill that tag or not, I can guarantee the time you spend will not be a waste.